Hey, what's going on? This is Kevin DeSilva with Viralizers.com, and in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to start your own podcast without having to be some tech wizard, and also without having to be an expert on the topic that you want to be covering. And you're going to be learning how to do this instantly and for free. And I know that sounds hypey. I know that sounds probably too good to be true, but just stick with me for a few minutes and you'll see what I'm talking about. Now, the first thing you want to do is pick a winning topic. Now, to pick a winning topic, what you want to do is you want to look if there's already podcasts about that topic, right? One thing that you want to make sure you don't do is you do not want to go too specific. Like, there's a category such as dogs, but then there's a category such as, German Shepherds. Maybe you're a fan of, or you have a German Shepherd that you love. That's not bad. But you don't want to go too deep, like, people that have German Shepherds that were breeded with Chihuahuas. You know what I mean? That would be way too deep. So you want to go subcategory, but not too deep. And on the next slide, we'll be talking about how to come up with a big idea that will allow you to achieve success much easier. Now, another way to find a great topic is to go to magazines.com. Magazines.com is where you could see if there's already magazines about your topic. And if there is, that is a great way for you to find a topic that you should pursue, because number one, obviously there's a magazine, so there's interest. Number two, because for a magazine to exist, they need to have what? Advertisers, right? They need to have advertisers. So if a magazine exists, that means that there's advertisers for that specific topic. Now, another thing that you want to look into is affinities. Now, affinities might be, for example, politics, right? So a lot of podcasts and a lot of topics, people think they have to be the expert, right? They have to be an expert. They have to create, information products, which you don't. You do not have to be an expert. You do not have to create information products. For example, politics. You can get into politics. You could do a show where you speak about politics, and a big thing that's happening now is something called Patreon, right? Where people support the, support the content creators by subscribing to them and donating as much as they want. So some people give $5 a month. Some people commit to giving $20 a month, and Patreon takes that money and gives it to the content creator every single month. So that's one way. Another way, but let me step back for a second. But when it comes to the affinities, the reason affinities are important, meaning other interests, is because based on their other interests, those are where you'll be getting your advertisers from, right? Those are where you'll be getting your advertisers from. So you might find that people into politics normally have an income that's over six figures, right? They're usually higher class, or I don't really like using that phrase, higher class, but they make more money. They're usually going to be driving more expensive cars. They're going to have, more expensive houses. So that means that real estate agents and, there's a bunch of different people that will want to advertise. So that's one way. But again, you don't have to worry about advertisers as much anymore, because now a lot of people, what they're doing is they're supporting the content creators that they like, which is huge. This is a whole new thing. This is a culture shift. And if you want to see examples of this, just go on to youtube.com and you'll see a bunch of people. They're not, no offense, meant, but they're not people that are, sophisticated with, what I mean by sophisticated is these are not people with, elaborate studios. I mean, these are people that are sitting in their living room, that you can tell are just catching up on what's going on. There's one topic, it's controversial. It's in the quote unquote conspiracy theory niche, but look up QAnon and on YouTube, and you'll see a bunch of people that have these talks. They do these YouTube videos, and the only reason I bring that up is because what you'll see is a lot of these people are sitting in their kitchen. They're sitting on a recliner in their living room. They record these videos. And if you don't know, Q is, a guy that's supposed to be on the President of the United States team. He does these like intel drops every few days Well, every time there's an intel drop, there's, the drops are very cryptic. Well, what happens is you have these people that make videos and say, okay, Q mentioned this today and he mentioned something. And what they do is they break down, they explain what that post means. And these are not people that went to school for this. These are not people that have worked in Washington, D.C. These are just fans of the topic, right? Fans of following these kind of conspiracy theories. But what you'll see is they have tons and tons of followers. There's one channel, it's called The Truth, something The Truth. I forget the name, but you'll see a bunch of people. One guy just went to, he just went over to France, where they're doing the yellow vest thing, and he went there to do citizen journalism, and he went there with the money that his subscribers or his supporters gave them. And what they do is they'll do a live stream, and they will actually do a live stream, and then they do something called a super chat, where you have to donate money. And if you donate money, your chats, when you put a comment in the chat, it gets highlighted. And when it gets highlighted, you're more likely to be seen, and it'll show how much you gave. And then that makes the person speaking actually, see your comment and call you out. And people give 25, some people give 50. It's insane. It's really, really cool. And it shows that people are really sick of advertisements. And this is something Viralizers.com, and which is basically me. I've been saying this now since 2011. There's a huge, huge change coming. I called podcasts coming back in 2010, 2011. And people literally back then were saying things like, oh, that was so 2008. The podcasting's dead. Blah, 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 blah. And I knew that they were wrong. When I seen that car radios were going to be coming out with podcast apps in them, when I seen that, you could take podcasts with you, and that they were becoming more sophisticated. Yeah, they had that 15-minute moment, but then they went away. But a lot of people stuck with it. You got the Pat Flynn's out there. You got the John Lee Dumas. You got the people that stuck with it, the Gary Vaynerchuks. And they stuck with it, and they were able to absolutely crush it. We did it ourselves with RealTradersWebinar.com. If you go to YouTube, do a search for Real Traders Webinar. I turned that company into a 6-figure company from zero in 11 months. And with the leads we generated from that business, which I don't know anything about trading, but yet I hosted these multi-speaker events, which we then turned the replays into podcasts. But we were able to generate enough leads to feed into a second company, Day Trading Zones, where we generated 7 figures of income. I told the owner, who was a client of mine, a consulting client, listen, I'm going to turn this company into 7 figures within a year. Started laughing at me, thought I was nuts. He only had 1 employee at the time, and they both laughed at me uncontrollably. But they loved the optimism, they said, but they never thought it would happen. We ended up hitting 1.2 million in 11 months. So they were right. We didn't do it in 12. We did it in 11 months, and we did 1.2 million. All for free, using the leads that we generated from the podcast that we created, from multi-speaker events. We took the replays, those became podcasts, and we put it onto YouTube. All the interest that it generated from YouTube and SEO. Till today, 5 years later, still generating 30 to 50 leads per day, which you can go and you can check it out and see the number of views. So affinities are very important. Magazines.com, huge help. And also looking at the podcasts that are currently there. Now, if you really want to crush it, okay, if you really want to crush it and you want to stand out, what you have to do is you have to come up with your quote-unquote big idea. There's somebody out there, his name is Todd Brown. Todd Brown does a great job of covering the big idea. He's actually giving away his book for free right now. He's giving away his book for free right now. And, I don't have a link for you or anything. Just do a search for Todd Brown, big idea book or something. And I think you pay $7 or something for shipping and handling, and he sends you the book. But Todd Brown is a mentor of mine. I was paying $10,000 a year to be in his mastermind group. And that's his thing, right? Is he covers the big idea. And I'm going to give you pretty much a summary of what he teaches in, a couple of minutes. So one of the things that he talks about is what you can do when it comes to creating a big idea is you might take 2 topics and combine them to create a new category. Now, my first mentor when I came online, his name is Eben Pagan. Now, Eben, taught me that, which I think he learned this from Wyatt Woodsmall. Wyatt Woodsmall, if you don't know who he is, I mean, look him up. Wyatt Woodsmall is, I mean, just nothing could be said. I mean, there's no words to explain how brilliant this man is. But he's been studying entrepreneurs his entire life. I believe he's in his 70s, 80s. Him and his wife, and what they do is they study entrepreneurs. They pick up on the commonalities between all entrepreneurs, and they teach that in a school. So what they said is basically that if you create a new category, basically, by definition, you dominate that category, right? It makes sense. So if you create the category, you dominate that category. Now, how could you create a category? Well, creating a category might be doing something such as combining two very popular topics into one topic, right? So how would you do that? So let's take two topics. So let's say podcasting, right? Podcasting is one topic. Now, what do I know that all podcasters are going to need? Well, they're going to need a tribe, right? They're going to need traffic. They're going to need listeners. So what's a good way to generate listeners for free? Well, social media marketing, right? Social media marketing. So maybe I would create a new category such as something that you could call, social podcasting, or, podcasting tribes, something like that. Now, if you do that, even though there's a bunch of podcasts on the topic of podcasting, even though there's a bunch of podcasts on the topic of tribes, how many podcasts are out there that are on the specific topic of how to promote your podcast using social media to build a tribe? You see? So that's one way. Now, the next bullet point is how you can differentiate your podcast. One of the most important things is making sure that your podcast is perceived as being different than all the other ones. Now, here's a technique that I learned from Rich Schefren. Now, Rich Schefren is someone who dominated the internet marketing niche. And I'm not talking about the hypey stuff. I'm talking about, like, these were the guys that were doing 7-figure launches. They were the first guys to do 7 figures in one day using product launches. I mean, these are the best, most brilliant marketing minds in the world. I moved to Miami, Florida, just to be around these guys. And, I was blessed to be able to become friends with them. And till today, I still have an office in Boca Raton. And I go down there and I jump into a mastermind where we meet once a month in Boca and we just exchange ideas. And Rich taught me something that I will never forget. So basically, and this is extremely, extremely valuable, okay? So what he did, right, is he launched his business overnight, basically, by creating a free report. Now, unlike everyone else that was creating free reports on, how to generate, 10,000 visitors to your website or cheesy shit like that, what Rich Schefren did was he created a report, and he took all of the problems that everyone else's content was trying to solve, right? This guy was teaching how to get traffic. This guy was teaching, how to do video marketing. This guy was teaching how to build a website. This guy, and what he did was he created a free report, and he has, I actually have it right there. It's called the Internet Business Manifesto. And on the cover page, he's got a mind map with all of these bubbles and all the insane amount of things that we try to do as solo entrepreneurs. Get traffic, which includes running ads, which includes running ads, social media, email list, capturing leads. Then you got to take each of those and break them down. So email list, you got to write the emails. You got to learn how to write copy. You got to set up the autoresponder. You got to pick the right service. You got to connect the autoresponder to the lead capture page. And that's just, one leg of one branch. Now, when you start to look at the entire scope of what people are trying to do, it's insane. And this is why most of us don't sleep. This is why most of us go crazy. And this is why most people fail. So what he was able to do is he was able to take the thing that everybody was promising to solve, right? All these different problems. And what he did is he said, you know what? Yeah, those are problems, but those are all symptoms to an overall disease. And that overall disease is being a business opportunity seeker versus a strategic entrepreneur. Because a strategic entrepreneur knows that they cannot do everything by themselves. they need to get people that they can outsource specific tasks to. And they're only going to do the things that only they can do, right? Such as creating content, being a consultant, whatever it is. Everything else they'll delegate to someone else. So that is being a strategic entrepreneur. And now what he did was, with this one free report, the Internet Business Manifesto, which if you were around in like 2008, you know who I'm talking about, Rich Sheffrin, and you know exactly what free report I'm talking about. And for years, this was the report, right? And he was able to build a multi-million-dollar business overnight. He was able to get all the other quote-unquote gurus, right? I'm talking about, again, the real gurus, right? The guys that I followed and I mentored were mentors of mine, like Frank Kern, Eben Pagan, Jeff Walker. I mean, the best of the best. He became their coach overnight with this one free report. And he was able to generate 7 figures from this one free report that he gave away. So that's huge. So think about how you can do that. How can you create a big idea, right? Which is what your podcast will be about, such as building a tribe using social media, right? And you might do something such as, well, let's go on to the next one and I'll explain this in greater detail. So I say over here that you should create a manifesto. Now, what do I mean by a manifesto? A manifesto is something that displays to everyone what your beliefs are, right? What your beliefs are. There's a talk that you should look up, and it's by Simon Sinek. Simon, his last name is Sinek, S-I-N-E-K. Simon Sinek did a talk for TED Talks, right? And in it, he talks about how people don't follow you for what you do. They follow you because of why you do it. Why do you do what you do, right? So like, why do people love Apple? Why do people love Apple? Is it because they love the iPhone? Is it because they love, how much RAM is in the computer or the computers they sell? Or is it something deeper? Is it that they are always trying to innovate and they love simplicity? One of the things that I have everything Mac. Okay, I got a Mac Pro. It's like a $5,000 computer. I got the new iPhone X, and I'm about to upgrade it to the XS, I think it is. I don't even know what it is, but I'm upgrading. I have a MacBook Pro laptop. I have an iPad Pro. I have the iPhone watch. You name it, I got it. And one of the reasons I love Apple and I love Mac, and I haven't been able to go back to Windows for years, is because of the simplicity, the sleek design. Steve Jobs, one of the things that he did is he spent years studying calligraphy and design and really having a great appreciation for art and design. And you'll notice that Apple computers are just, so simple. Even their website, if you go to their website, it's just so simple, but it looks so classy, right? So what you want to do is you want to create a manifesto. So I would watch that Simon Sinek video and figure out what is your why and what is the beliefs that you stand for. And then that becomes your manifesto. So what do you stand for? And most importantly, what do you stand against? Most people are going to try to do things that they can appeal to everyone. For example, I swear, right? I swore once. I usually swear much more, but I swear when I talk. And you know why? Because I don't do notes. I literally have no notes right now. I am just going bullet points. I usually don't even have slides. But I just talk, and I am who I am, and some people will love me, some people will hate me, right? But you rather have some people love you and some people hate you than have everybody be like, right? So what does my manifesto look like? So this is a manifesto that I created back in 2011. Until today, I still believe in every single word. So number one is to love the hustle, right? Love the hustle. So you got to love what you're doing. If you're not in a topic that you love, then you might as well just give it up now. That's my opinion. Some people think differently. Personally, I believe that it's going to take hard work. You're going to have to stay consistent. You'll see that right there, right here. Make a commitment to staying consistent. That's one of our beliefs. Because you have to understand that, especially with podcasting, okay? Especially with podcasting, You have to understand that things are not going to blow up overnight. You're not going to get 1 million downloads in one night. That's not how it happens. How it happens is you do one episode, you put it out there, and you'll get a few downloads. Now, does that mean that you want your episodes to get better and better as you go on and that you can kind of do things half-assed in the beginning? Absolutely not. Because what's going to happen is when people, you're going to put out, let's say you put out 10 episodes. Well, most people think they put out one episode and that's it. They're supposed to become a star overnight. And it doesn't happen and they say, I knew this didn't work. Well, that's not the way it works. What works is you put out one episode, then you put out another, then another, then another. And now every time more and more people are starting to listen. So the first time you do it, maybe, you get 10 people to listen to it on social media. But they like it and they retweet it. But now they start following you because they want to see the next time you put it out. Next time you put it out, as soon as you put it out, boom, they share it with everybody. Now they start to take you a little bit more seriously because they say, oh, this person actually stays consistent, which right there, you're already going to beat out 99% of the competition just by staying consistent. But what happens is as you get into the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, 8th episode, you're going to get more and more people that are sharing. And every time you're picking up new people. But what's going to happen is you're going to get a lot of people that are always, so you're always going to get the most listeners on the most recent episode that you released, because that's when you had the most people, right, from the last episode, but that they're going to share it with all new people. So your most recent episode will always have the most downloads at first. But then what's going to happen is as those people listen to that 10th episode, they're going to say, wow, this is an awesome friggin' podcast. And guess what they do? They do what everybody does on Netflix. And Netflix figured this out a long time ago. They binge. They go back and they listen to every single episode you have ever created. Then they search your name on Google. They search your name in if they try to find your website. And they want to consume everything that you've ever done because they just became your biggest fan. Right? So that's the way that it works. So you want to stay consistent, knowing that it might not be today, but as long as you stay consistent, the day will come where everybody's going to go back and start listening to the beginning. I mean, look at somebody like a Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan has 90 million people downloading his episodes. 90 million. Do you understand? 90 million people. To put that in perspective, CNN, I believe, gets, I know it was around it used to be like a couple years ago. I know now the numbers are really inflated because of Trump, but it used to be that CNN used to have like 1 million consistent viewers, right? All day, all night. MSNBC was about 300 to 400,000. And Fox News was 3 to 4 million. So Fox News was, the biggest. And they have 3 to 4 times the audience of a CNN, which is 3 to 4 million. Now compare that to the megaphone that Joe Rogan has of 90 million people downloading his episodes. Now, why are they downloading his episodes? Well, it's because there's no commercials. It's because he goes 3 hours with his podcast. But, and here's the deal. If you're embarrassed to be on video, do not worry about it. Because I was actually thinking that lately, like, wow, a lot of people are doing video. Maybe I got to start doing videos. But, you got to make sure you clean your area. You got to put up the green screen. It's a lot of work, right? And it takes longer to put out episodes, and it starts to get in the way of just putting out content. So, but then I heard him do a podcast the other day, Joe Rogan, and in it he said, 60 to 70% of his listeners, of his downloads, come from audio, not video, audio. And I was like, I didn't get it because I know I like to listen to audio, but I like to see the person, right? But then I realized, you know what? That's not true. Because when you're driving in the car, when you're at the gym, when you're walking around the mall, when you're walking around town, when you're going for a run, guess what you're doing? You're putting on a podcast and you're listening, and you could go do whatever, and you don't have to be looking at your phone. So it's actually a benefit to have just audio. So don't think you have to do video. But let's look at the other ones. Build relationships, not just numbers. All these people I have 40,000 followers. I have 100,000 followers. It means nothing. I have 43,000 followers on Twitter. It means nothing. Don't get me wrong. It means everything, but not the 43,000, because while I was doing the trading stuff for a few years, I had gotten out of teaching. I'm just now starting to put out content again. But so those 43,000 people, when it comes down to it, when I start to put out content, I'll see how many are actual true fans. Now, many of those were true fans, and I tried to keep Viralizers going, and I was about to launch Viralizers, but we just had so much success in the trading industry, and there was only me, my business partner who owned the businesses before I jumped in, and one employee from England, and that was it. Who wasn't very tech savvy. So I had to do all the marketing, all the website building, all the sales copy, all the emails, all the you name it. I did it. My business partner created the content and did that. And then the employee, Jack, he did all the customer service, and that was his thing. So it was a lot. And when you're talking about two businesses, one doing 1.2 million, and then the other one doing, hundreds of thousands of dollars, it was just insane, right? It was insane for a few years, and I'm just now getting back to this. So I broke my rule of staying consistent. Well, one of the reasons I didn't launch was because I knew that I was not going to be able to stay consistent. Now, would it have been better to put something out there instead of nothing? I don't know, but I just knew I didn't want to do it unless I knew for a fact I could say, okay, every Tuesday I'm going to put something out. Now, I've left the trading companies because I want to do this. I still own a piece of them, and I still am a part of it, but I'm now 100% focused on Viralizers because that's my thing. I need to stay consistent. But when it comes to this, building relationships, not just numbers, what you have to think of is you can go buy 10,000 fake followers, and it's just nothing. But let me tell you something. One true fan. Let me put it this way. We figured out, right, especially over the next 4 years, because we ended up doing much more year to year. We figured out that it takes 1,000 clicks. If you could send out an email and get 1,000 people to open that email and click on the link that you shared, you got a 7-figure business. It's pretty much a guarantee. You got a 7-figure business. Okay? Now, 1,000 clicks. That means you need 1,000. So you've heard people say 1,000 true fans. It's true. Now, you're not going to go from 0 to 1,000 overnight. It's just not going to happen. But what you can do is you can pick up 2 or 3 per day, and just think about that. What does it take to become a true fan or to pick up a true fan? It's something as simple as somebody retweeting your podcast episode. You're going to get a notification. Now, all you got to do is just, reply to that and say, hey, thanks, Bob, for sharing my podcast. I'm pumped that you enjoyed it. What was your favorite part? Now, once you do that, like, could you imagine you're listening to a podcast, your favorite podcast, Joe Rogan, and you retweet Joe Rogan's latest podcast, and Joe Rogan applies to you and says, hey, what's up? Thanks so much for sharing that. Really appreciate it. Could you imagine, like, how pumped you would be? Now, tell me how much more of a fan you would be of Joe Rogan's or whoever, filled Joe Rogan with whatever podcast you listen to. And just imagine how much that would, just increase how much you're a fan of that person. Well, that's all it takes, right? So you want to build relationships, not just numbers. Now, over here, this is like a belief that we have. Making money is easy when you have a tribe. Building a tribe is easy when you provide value. Providing value is easy when you love what you do, right? So that's our belief. We love what we do. We provide massive value without trying to sell people. And we do so that we can build a tribe. And once you have a tribe, you can make money. When you have a bunch of true fans that are following you, that trust you, that know you, like you, and trust you, there's a million ways to make money, right? Maybe there's a product that you just bought or a service you just signed up for. And you say, hey, guys, I just signed up for this service. And you're being honest. You're not just, blowing smoke up people's asses saying, oh, I just, go sign up for this service. It's 50% off. No, it's you just signed up for it and you think it's awesome. And, you tell people that. Now, guess what? When you provide people with value, which I've been doing for years, you don't even understand how many times people would email me and say, Kev, please, can you just promote something? Can you just give me an affiliate link to something? I don't care what it is. I just want to buy. I need to do something for you. People feel that sense of reciprocation. Moving on. Take action. Take massive action, being certain of success. That's an important one. When it comes to creating episode 1, episode 2, knowing that it's not going to get as many downloads in the beginning, But as you go on, what's going to happen is that first episode is going to be your most downloaded episode ever. It's always, go look at any stats for podcasts. You're going to see that the first episode is always the one that has the most downloads, because everybody always goes back and starts at episode 1 and continues on. Well, you want to create that first episode already in your mind, not believing, but like you got to feel it. You got to emotionally feel as if you've already reached Joe Rogan's level of success. All right. You got to think of it like this is going to be seen by everyone. And you got to put your best content out there. Now, with that said, let me just, give you a warning. The first episode to the Viralizers podcast, I recorded literally over 100 times. It took months, okay? Months. And I just never was perfect. Well, then I remember hearing a tip, which was a good tip. And until today, I share it, which was when you create a new podcast, you want to release 3 to 5 episodes, right? 3 to 5 episodes right away. 1, 2, 3. Maybe in the same day or at least back to back. You want to release 3 episodes so that when people see it, they can really dive in and binge, right? So you want at least 3 episodes there, especially for SEO purposes, so you can rank high in the iTunes store and stuff. At least 3 to 5 episodes right away. Well, what I did was I created episode 1, episode 2, episode 3. Well, I got so fed up at trying to make that episode 1 so perfect because I was so concerned with telling them who I am and why I'm doing this and and what I plan on doing, what I hope this does for them. And episode 2, I didn't do that. I just got right into the content, right? And I just started providing value. And guess what? I ended up using episode 2 as my first episode for Viralizers, which till today is still on Viralizers.com, the first episode. The first 3 episodes are the best episodes. I believe everybody should listen to it. I go into all of this in much greater detail. But just take action, take massive action, being certain of success, but don't be a perfectionist. Remember that you can replace any episode whenever you want. Moving on. To receive value, to be acknowledged, you must first acknowledge. Everybody wants to put out content and they want everybody to retweet them and they want to be this, they want to be this instant success. That's not the way it works. Remember what I said? If somebody retweets you or whatever, you acknowledge them. Once you acknowledge them, watch how fast they acknowledge you. Now, one of the things that I did to build my tribe of 43,000 was I started following people. I have formulas that I teach with Viralizers, right? Which I would glad to share with anybody, but I'll do that in a different video. What I did was, for example, if you go to Twitter, you can use the Twitter search feature. And if you put in quotes, you have to use the quotes, because if you just search for somebody's username, if you do @ and then the username, it's going to bring up that person's profile. But what you got to do is you got to put in quotes @ the username of somebody else that has a podcast that's just like yours. But when you're done typing, as you're typing, you're going to get like a drop-down box with suggested search terms, right? Now, you're going to see the first one is going to be that person's profile. But what you want to do is scroll down to the bottom and you want to hit the last suggested thing, which is all results. Then you want to go to the tab on Twitter that says the latest posts. Now, what that's going to do is if you search for @ the username of, somebody that will potentially be your competitor soon, it's going to bring up everybody that is retweeting that person. So everybody that's retweeting, Joe Rogan, you could pull them up. And now what I would do is I would start following all of his retweeters. That's what I call a Viralizer fan. That's not somebody that's just a fan of his podcast, which means if I do a similar podcast, there's a very good chance they'd be a fan of my podcast if I could do it better. But that's somebody that loves it, loves that podcast, and that shares it with all of their followers. So that's a Viralizer fan. That's a fan that viralizes that content. So those are the people I show you to go after. Well, by searching for that, you can now get them. Now, I would follow those people first. Now, some people might say, oh, but that's cheating. Oh, that's this. Or those are not true followers. You got these snobs out there that think, oh, I have 50,000 followers and I only follow 5 people. Yeah, you're a douchebag. Big deal. What's that mean? right? I love these people. I love my fans. So like if somebody tweets me or if somebody follows me, why wouldn't I follow them back? Right? Because you know how many people since then have followed me first, but yet as soon as they follow me, I follow them back. Because I feel like, to say, oh, you're important enough, I'm important enough for you to follow and for you to listen to everything that I put out there, but you're not important enough for me to have to listen to everything that you say. I think that's so snobby, and that's just me. But to each their own. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the way other people do it. Maybe they don't use it. Maybe they only use that channel to put stuff out, whatever. But I believe in acknowledging other people first, okay? So acknowledge other people before you expect to be acknowledged. And then to receive value, you must first provide value. Everybody expects to sell their course or to do this, do that, without providing anybody with value. They want to run ads to a squeeze page that promises to deliver this and this and this, but then they say, oh, give me your email address, and then I'll show you this great thing. And it's like, you expect these people to like just hand over their email address or hand over money and just based on promises? It's like, provide value first. Stop with all the games. Just provide as much value, hold nothing back, and people will want to buy from you just because they feel like they owe you, right? Make a commitment to stay consistent. We talked about that. And remember to look at yourself from the outside in. So obviously we get all wrapped up in ourselves. And this is another way of putting that is being self-aware, right? Being self-aware and knowing to look at yourself on how you're being perceived, right? How are you being perceived? Think about it. If I came to my website right now, how would this website look to me? Would I be interested? Are they offering something of value? All it takes is that kind of a mindset shift, and you'll look at your website in a completely new perspective, and you'll be able to spot all the things wrong versus only, you're so busy trying to do all this stuff that you're not able to spot all the things that are wrong. Now, I'm about to show you the service that I use that's going to allow you to launch a podcast overnight. But I want to let you know, if you stay till the end of this video, I'm going to show you the biggest mistakes to avoid and how to not only avoid them, but avoid them completely and go the right way and achieve massive success. But first, let's go over to the service that I use that is going to allow you to launch a podcast overnight. Now, first, let me show you one other thing. There's a tool that I want to show you, which is Facebook Audience Insights. So go to Google, do a search for Facebook Audience Insights. And what you could do is come over here, right? And look at what Facebook does, right? They just allow you to look at all this data. So if I come over here and let's say I want to do a podcast on podcasting, right? So let's do podcasting. So if I put podcasting in there, right? So you see the Serial podcast, the Nerdist podcast. So they're giving me the names of certain podcasts. But let's try doing something different. Let's say internet marketing, right? Internet marketing. All right, so here's internet marketing. So I'm going to choose that. Internet Marketing Ninjas. So I think what you have to do is you have to search for the name of a fan page. So what I could do is I could search for like Ryan Dice, Frank Kern, the names of some gurus. Now look at what they do. What they do is they give you the percentage of demographics, the percentage of men and the percentage of women that follow that topic or are fans of Internet Marketing Ninjas. It shows you their relationship status. 50% of them are married, 29% are single, 14% are in a relationship. Education level, 71% have an education level of at least going to college. 12% went to grad school. Now we come up here, we could see page likes, right? And it'll tell us, hey, they're fans of Internet Marketing Ninjas, but they're also fans of Top Rank Marketing. They're also fans of Outbrain, which is a advertising network, which like a content network where you can advertise on other people's content. These are the softwares that they use: SEMrush, Moz, Infusionsoft, ClickFunnels, BigCommerce, MailChimp. They follow Content Marketing Institute, so they're interested in content marketing. They follow Pat Flynn's podcast, Gary Vaynerchuk. So I'm starting to see a trend when it comes to content marketing. So if we come over here, other page likes, right? Search Engine Journal. So now you get to see all the other pages that they're following, what softwares they use. Now let's go to location. If we go to location, usually it gives you the top cities that they're from. Let's go to activity. So pages that they like, for the devices they use. I mean, look, 33% used Android, 33% used iPhone, 33% used computer. It's just insane how deep you can get with this. And you could just basically break it down all the way down to like politics. I mean, it's insane all that you can do. And you can even, once you search all this, right, what you could do is you can actually save these people as a custom audience to run ads to. All right. So that this would be 2,000 to 2,500 people. All right. So tell me that's not cool. Tell me that's not valuable to really get into the minds of who your following is going to end up being. Right. So you can see here's the affinity, and then that's the affinity score. Remember we talked about infinities? So that's one way to do that. All right. Now let me show you another one, which is Stitcher.com. So here's a place where you can go to see other podcasts and the different categories based on hashtags. If we go to iTunes, if you're in iTunes, you go to the store, you go over to podcasts over here, and then you go to categories, and you can look at the different categories, and then you could see where do I want to rank, right? Now, if you follow my tip of putting 3 to 5 episodes right away, then there's a very good chance you're going to show up in the new and noteworthy section within the first week. That's their way of giving you a shot by putting you at the top. And then from there, they'll decide where you belong, okay? So that's that. Now let me show you this tool right here. Oh, one more. Magazines.com. That's another place where you can go to find out, what topics you could be going into, economy, politics, whatever. But again, remember, you can create your own category too. Now, let me show you this right here. So here's a tool that is completely free. Now, believe me when I tell you, it is completely free. This is no catch. It's not some trial that you have to take. It's 100% free. You could do it right from your phone. You could do it from your computer, okay? You could pre-record it if you want. So you can use a free software such as Audacity, which is open source and works on both Mac and PC, to pre-record your episode, or you can use Anchor. Now, Anchor will automatically, submit your podcast to Apple Podcasts, to Alexa, to Google Podcasts, to iTunes. It submits your podcast everywhere. You get unlimited free hosting. They have like sound effects and transitions that you can include. You can add segments, so you can like record a section. That's segment 1. Then you could do like a transition sound, and then you could do like a commercial. It's insane, all the stuff that you could do. You can record podcasts with friends. Okay, you can like let other people call in. So much stuff. You can monetize your podcast. Just let them know you're looking to monetize your podcast, and they will find people to pay you to advertise on your podcast. Okay, so there's so much that we could talk about, but let's just jump in here so that I could show you exactly what I'm talking about and how it's so much easier to do this. Okay, it's so much easier for you to do this than waste your time with trying to install, usually you have to pay for podcast hosting, and then you have to install a WordPress plugin that will allow you to create podcast episodes, and then you have to connect that WordPress plugin to your podcast hosting. Then you have to go and you have to grab this RSS feed, which is complicated. You have to create a whole new category which is just for your podcast. It's such a pain in the ass. And for what? You get stats, okay? You get stats. Now here's a new account that I just created, right? And I added my episodes. My episodes are still on my old hosting account, but I'm switching everything over to Anchor. And look, you can activate Anchor sponsorships. It says right here, want to get paid when people hear your podcast? Turn on Anchor sponsorships in one of your episodes to get started, okay? You could share it. You have a podcast profile that you can share with people, and this will have your episodes, right? I only added 5 of my episodes so far. I started to do this a few months back, but I just never finished. But I'm going to be finishing now. But right there are the first 3 episodes. Those are the ones to listen to if you want to go back and listen to them. But you can listen to these. But look, available on 11 platforms. 11 platforms. So if I come over here, right, and let me come back here. So let's see, right here. So other, I don't even know where the other are coming from, but 58 listens because the episodes on my blog on Viralizers.com are not Anchor. They're not Anchor. They're still my old hosting account. So I'm not even sure where these came from. It must have been from what they've done. So Anchor, one person has listened to it on Anchor. 4 people have listened to it on Spotify. 6 plays have been on iOS. I mean, do you see this? This is insane, right? All you got to do, oh, look, available on 11 platforms. So if we come over here and scroll down, where can your podcast be heard? Look at this. It's on Anchor, right? So it's anchor.fm. That's the website address, by the way, anchor.fm/Viralizers brings you to the Viralizers podcast, to that page we were just at. Apple Podcasts is right here. Google Podcasts is right here. Spotify, Breaker, Castbox, Google Play Music. So it's in the Google Play Store. Overcast, Pocket Casts. It's in Radio Public. It's in Stitcher. Okay? And then look at this over here. Here's your RSS feed. So if you wanted to copy this, you can go and submit this anywhere that you want, right? Anywhere that you want. But it's automatically submitted to all of those places. Now look, if you've manually distributed your podcast to additional platforms, click here to paste in the links. So you can click there and you can paste in the additional places like Podbean, TuneIn. It's absolutely nuts. And if I'm not mistaken, it used to say that it'll show up in Alexa, on Amazon Alexa and other ones, but maybe I'm mistaken. But I don't think I am. I'm almost positive that it is. Include listener support link in your show notes. Customize your message to supporters. So right here, show optional sponsorship segments in all episodes. So you can add an additional segment to each episode for people that sponsor your podcast, right? To people that pay you money to listen to your podcast. So all you got to do to start is add an image for your cover art, or you can create it, right? They let you add text and build your own. You come up with a podcast name, right? Which I did VIP, and I do each episode is VIP 001, VIP 002. But I call it VIP, which stands for Viralizer Insiders Podcast. And then over here, podcast description, you put a description, you choose a category. I choose business. You choose what you want after the, /anchor.fm/boom. What's your website? Your name. I always put my name, and then I put a pipe, and then I put Viralizers, and then my email address. Okay. Now, if we come over here to new episode, look, meet the Anchor episode builder. Ready to make your first episode? Upload an existing file or create an audio. Create any audio you want. Try recording with your friends. Ask listeners for voice messages or introducing your new podcast. Now, here's the cool thing. One day I recorded in something, right? And I was just fooling around, right? And I just started spitting out some content, and I was just fooling around. And I swear to you, I was like on my balcony in Miami, and I remember just sitting there on the balcony. It was like midnight or like 2 a.m, and I just said a bunch of stuff, and all of a sudden, boom, you start getting messages. Other people, listeners, can listen to your podcast, and they can start recording audio messages to send you. And they'll start, hey, what's up, Kevin? Thank you so much. That was an awesome episode. Welcome. What is it that you do? I was listening to what you were talking about. That sounds awesome, man. I would love to get involved. Blah, blah, blah. And it was like, I had 2 people send me messages like that within 5 minutes. And I was like, wow, that's insane. And what you could do is you could even take those voice messages that people send you, and then you can decide to make it live and share it with everybody and make it part of your next episode. How cool is that? But now look at this, right? So for you to build your episode, right? So here's your episode right here, right? So right now it's empty. Now over here, check this out. You can browse all the audio you've created or uploaded to Anchor. But I believe, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm correct, what you can do is if you're on your iPhone, you can use any song that's in your music library as your music, as your song. But if I come over here to record, right, all you got to do is record a new recording. So I can do new recording, right? And I can record a new segment. So I could say, so look, check this out. Send the recording link to your phone. So you can do this right from your phone, all right? But I can record a new segment, right? I'll say allow microphone. Yep, use the USB. And then I'm going to do stop recording, all right? So I can say, hey, what's going on, guys? It's Kevin DeSoto with, VIP, the Viralizer Insiders podcast. In this episode, we're going to be talking about, right? Stop recording. Now, it's December 30th, 2018, so that's my episode. So as that's going, I can grab this and drag it right into my episode. Boom. Now it says, do you want to activate sponsorships, right? So I'm not going to do that now. We'll cover that in another episode, but that's really cool. Now, messages, right? So remember those two people I told you about? Boom, right? That was the first time I had tried it. And look, those are the two people I told you about, right? How cool is that? Transitions. So you can listen to these transitions, right? So now let's say I wanted to use that as a transition. All I got to do is click the plus sign and boom, now it's there. So now you would have my intro. I can have it go to this music, right? I can have it go to this music, and then I could put in I can record my next segment, and then boom, drag that in. If you have other podcast episodes, right? So my library, here's other episodes that I've uploaded, right? I can grab episode 3 and put it there, or I can grab some other segment. Let's say you recorded a segment. Let's say you record a commercial, right? Let's say you record a commercial for your podcast service, right? Or for your, whatever. Maybe you have a membership site. Maybe you have a sponsor, whatever it is. If you record a commercial, like a 30-second spot, all you got to do is record it once and then have it in here and in your library, right? And then what you could do is you can record a segment and then say, all right, guys, we're going to take a little break while you listen to a quick word from my sponsor. And then boom, you just stop recording. That's a segment. Drag it over here. Then you find that 30-second spot you recorded, right? Where it's you saying, hey, guys, go check out this sponsor, whatever. You could just drag that in. Now, personally, my advice is if you're going to have a sponsor and do that, I say pre-record the commercial and then just do what I just said. Hey guys, I'm going to take a quick break while you guys listen to a quick word from our sponsor, who without their support, this wouldn't be possible. And then let it cut to a 30-second pre-recorded commercial. I can't tell you how just, much it turns me off when I'm listening to a podcast or I'm watching a podcast, which is even worse. I'll be watching a podcast and it'll be like an interview between two people and it'll be getting like really heavy, like you're really into it. And then they'll just like stop. And the person that's like, it's their podcast will turn and look at the camera and be like, hey, do you need home security? And just like go into like, salesperson mode. And it's like, what the fuck? What is going on right now? And it just seems so not genuine. You know me, I'm all about being genuine. That's just so not genuine. I just, that's not for me. But this is what you do to record your episode, and it's that simple. Once your episodes are recorded, right? So right here, you can come here.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
And you can actually grab these. You can grab this embed code, right? And you could just embed it onto your website, and it'll embed into your website. Or you can grab this right here, this link to this episode. You can grab it and you can, use it with other plugins. There's plugins now that they have that work with Anchor, right? For WordPress. But I believe that this is the way to go. It's so much easier to get your episodes onto iTunes, onto all these different networks. It's so much easier for you to record. You don't have to go mess with any softwares or anything. It's great if you want to start making money. I mean, look, you can just make money by telling people about your podcast. And right here, tips for increasing revenue. Ask your listeners to support you. Ask your audience for their support. Remember what I was telling you about earlier? You can explain how their support helps you keep making your podcast. Activate sponsorships in all episodes. The amount you can make from sponsorships is calculated across all your episodes. So the more sponsorship segments you have active in your back catalog, the better. When possible, use mid-roll ads. Hire CPM sponsors. Ones who are willing to pay are only available if you're at least if you have at least one sponsorship segment in the middle of your episode. So right here, you haven't yet activated listener support. So you can activate listener support, and then you could do monetization, right? So you can monetize by advertising. Now, let me show you something. Take a look at this. So I did a search in Google, right from Google, podcasting advertising rates. Let me show you something. Did you know that podcasting is by far the most expensive form of advertising of all mediums? Okay, it's more expensive than TV, more expensive than newspaper on a per thousand impression or listens. Per thousand listens, a 30-second spot commands $10 per 1,000 listens. Okay, now think about it. That's 1,000 downloads. So I just want to talk about something. This is something I talk about in Viralizers. This is going to be one of our main beliefs, right? And one of our main, the myths that we just blow up, which is you don't want freebie seekers. You know, all these freebie seekers. You only want the buyers. That's complete bullshit. Listen, those freebie seekers are your key to success. Okay? The freebie seekers are your key to a success. I'll say it again. Those freebie seekers are the key to your success. What do I mean? What I mean is you could have the best content, and I don't care if you could charge 10 grand, right? All these guys, they do these courses, and they think they're so smart because they teach you how to make this course, and then they tell you, all right, now here's the secret. You're going to charge $10,000 for this course. Now think about it. All you're going to do is get 10 people, boom, you just made 100 grand. All you're going to do is get 100 people, boom, you're a millionaire. And it sounds fucking brilliant. Like, oh my God, why didn't I think of that? Why didn't I think about just charging people 10 grand? Never mind whether you actually have $10,000 worth of content for people to pay for, but that's besides the point, right? It's so dumb. But now, let's say that happens. Let's say you could charge $10,000. Your content's that good. You got 1,000 people to pay you 10 grand each. You just made $1 million. Now, here's the deal. How many people in the world know you're the best when it comes to that topic? So this is even if you are the best when it comes to speaking about a certain topic. If you were able to charge 10 grand and you did, how many people, if you sold 1,000 courses, would know you are the best when it comes to that topic? 1,000 people, right? Now think about it. 1,000 people. As soon as you stop running ads, boom, stops. Everything stops. Your business dies. You have to run ads, right? If you rely on ads, that means that your business cannot grow without running ads, which means if Facebook ups their prices, they charge double per click all of a sudden, you got to do it. You got to deal with it, right? But now, if you put that same content out there for free, now if it's that good and you put it out there for free through podcasts, through free videos, through whatever, how many people do you think you would have that know you are the best when it comes to that topic? You think it's going to be 1,000? Or do you think it's going to be more like hundreds of thousands, if not millions? Now think about that. Now, if you have hundreds of thousands of people that think you are the man or you are the woman, you are the best when it comes to that topic, right? Well, do you think you're ever going to have a problem making money? Never. You will never have a problem making money. You will get paid 6 figures to speak for an hour. Gary Vaynerchuk gets about 150 grand to go speak for an hour at seminars. And he's booked 200 days out of the year. Booked. So that's what, 200, let's say 150 grand per trip. Plus they pay for his flights and everything. But, you know, let's say that's what, $2 million? $2 million for 200 talks for 1 hour. Now, every time that he talks, guess what happens? That audience of his grows. He picks up more people. He's traveling all over the world and getting paid millions of dollars per week, right? If he does 5 talks, He's making like $1 million per week. To do what? To build his tribe and take their buyers. Because now all the people that paid thousands of dollars to be at that seminar just became fans of his. Because they've been blowing him up all week long saying, oh my God, you don't even know. And they want to make Gary look bigger than life. Why? Because he's going to be at their event and they want their event to be a success. And they want you to want to go to their event. So they have to make Gary seem like, you're going to be seeing Jesus Christ himself. And that's what happens. So he's getting paid millions of dollars for his brand to get even bigger. And then guess what happens? He starts getting calls from Coca-Cola. He starts getting calls from, Nike and all the biggest multi-billion-dollar brands in the world to manage their social media accounts. He gets 7-figure book deals. He's getting TV show offers. He's got his own sneakers. Think about it. Now, think about whether you want to keep all your content to yourself and go hide it behind some membership site and pay people to see it. Or do you want everybody in the fucking world to see your content and how great it is? You can decide that for yourself. But if you ask me, it's better to give it to everybody in the world for free. Content will be free. I'm still ahead of the curve when it comes to this, I know. But content equals free. Put it out there for free. People are still trying to fight this. Put it out there for free. You want to charge for your coaching. If they want to be able to ask you questions live. If they want to be able to follow an outline. Okay, join my masterclass. You'll get coaching with me. And you say, listen, the masterclass is free, but you're going to get coaching calls every week with me twice a month for $100 a month, $200 a month, $500 a month, whatever. But to speak to you now, and you can still do one call with a group on it and you're still making a ton of money. But if you're going to go down the content path and you want to sell content, that's what I would do. That's what I would do. And just put it out there and build a tribe. If you build a tribe, look, Gary Vaynerchuk comes out with I think he came out with his own sneakers. I mean, once you have a brand, look at Apple. Apple could launch their own sneaker brand. They could launch a line of backpacks. And guess what? Every single item they launch would be a success. Look at Donald Trump. Donald Trump built his brand, right? He had water, he had steaks, and he became the president. Whether you love him or not, I'm not getting into that. I'm just saying the brand. When you make everybody love a brand, that brand can take you anywhere. It took, Donald Trump to the presidency, right? Why? Because he didn't hide his content, right? Now, I'm not saying you have to brag or you have to do any of that. I'm just saying put your content out there for free. Help as many people as you can, and you're going to build true fans. People are going to talk about you. Everybody's going to want you at their events, and that's how you do it. And that's how you get all their buyers. And then you get all these people's buyers and those people's buyers. And now you are known as number one. And look at Gary Vaynerchuk. He's been saying the same exact things at every single one of those 200-something events per year since I started following him. And I talked to him back in 2008. 2008, I remember hitting up Gary Vaynerchuk. And even back then, he made a video for my members because I was trying to build a membership site. And he made a video for my membership site. I'll never forget it. I lost it, but I'll never forget it. It was the coolest thing, and I was like, wow. Until today, I'm a huge fan, which is why I'll give him so much credit right here, right now. So that's my advice for you. Listen, I know this was a long video. I hope you got a ton of value from it. Believe me, the things that I shared with you are life lessons. These are lessons that would have taken you a very long time or a ton of money to learn. It's taken me 11 years now to learn all the things that I just shared with you, to learn, what the best tools are, to learn all the easiest ways to build a tribe. Now, what's the biggest mistake? Remember I said I was going to share with you the biggest mistakes to avoid? Let me tell you how you can screw up everything I just taught you. So one of the biggest mistakes that people make is they assume that if they build it, people will come. No, they will not. No, they won't. They're not going to come. Just because you build it, it does not mean they're going to come. Remember what I told you earlier? Following the people retweeting your competitors? Do that. Go get into the groups on Facebook. get involved in forums, go on Reddit, and start participating in the subcategories or the subreddits, which is basically like a subcategory about your topic, the smaller ones, right? Not marketing, but internet marketing or social media marketing, or these that have 20 to 100,000, 200,000 people subscribe to it. And it'll tell you when you go to that category on the top, on the right side, it'll tell you in the sidebar, there's 100 people in this category right now, in this subreddit right now. You want the ones that have the posts. When you look at the posts, look at the posts that are at the top that have 5 or 6 likes. If with 5 or 6 likes, it's at the top of the page. That means that all your shares, if you share something, it only has to get 5 or 6 likes to be at the top of the page. So what do? You go, and first you have to participate in these things. Participate. Follow other people. Remember, you have to acknowledge before you get acknowledged. Acknowledge other people. Participate. Go into the groups. Share actual value with them. And then when you create your episodes, go out there and share it with those people. And do stuff like, you could do stuff like when somebody follows me, I used to have an auto direct message go out on Twitter that says, hey, my name's Kevin. Thanks so much for following me. If you want to see what, if you ever need help with anything related to internet marketing or building a tribe, you can go to Viralizers.com, see what I'm about. And if you think there's something I can help you with, feel free to hit me up and ask me anything. So I did it like that in a cool way. Like, go to Viralizers, see what I do. And if you think there's ever something I could help you with, and I really would help people. I would help people for free all the time, especially when I got started. It's getting harder and harder, especially now. But back then, I would talk to anyone for free. Anyone. I'd hop on Skype with them for free. And basically, we were friends, but quote unquote, I say friends in quotes, but really it was just I was a free coach. I was coaching for free. But treat every single fan like gold. Appreciate every single one. You see these people, oh, I only got 200 followers. Listen, if you were to put 200 people in a room and you had to speak on stage in front of 200 people, let me tell you, 200 people is a lot more people than you could possibly imagine. And if you told that to an entrepreneur from the 1960s that you could just get 200 people in a couple of days online to speak to, they would call us so stupid for actually complaining. And all these people that are out there crying and whining about the times or the economy, bullshit. No one has a right to complain. No one. I didn't get a high school education. Did not get a high school education. I was getting in trouble my whole life until I came online. And then I realized, holy shit, I can learn anything. You can go on YouTube and learn anything. You don't need money to go to the best colleges. You can learn from people better than the best professors at Harvard right online, right? I learned from guys that, started in mobile homes or were broke, and they built 30 to 60 to $100 million per year businesses, such as Eben Pagan, such as Frank Kern, Dan Kennedy. I was able to learn from them for free in the beginning. Those are the people you want to learn from, not some college professor that's making $100,000 a year that's never owned a business in his life. So there's no excuse. Treat every fan like gold and understand that there's nothing that you can't learn and do. And remember, become a Viralizer fan. Don't just try to get Viralizer fans. Become a Viralizer fan yourself. Share other people's podcasts. One of the biggest things I tell people is you don't have to be an expert. You can literally look at Fox News. We talked about Fox News, how it's #1 in media. Whether you like them or not, besides the point. But what is Fox News? This is what I'm trying to teach everybody to be with Viralizers. To be your own media company. Look at Fox News. What's Sean Hannity? What does he do? All he does not create his own content. Think about it. All he does is say, oh, so, this morning I was reading the New York Times and I seen this article about blah. So to discuss that, here's so-and-so and so-and-so. It brings on a couple people and they discuss this article that showed up in the New York Times this morning. All they're doing is discussing articles, other people's content, basically, right? That's all they're doing is discussing other people's content. What did I do with Real Traders Webinar that allowed me to build a multi-six-figure business, and from the leads from that business, a 7-figure business for free? All I did was invite experts to come speak at our events. I would do a webinar. I would host it. Go to Real Traders Webinar. Go to YouTube, search for Real Traders Webinar. You'll see what I'm talking about. I did the hosting, but I knew nothing about, till today, I know nothing about trading. I can write an email that'll make people go buy whatever I want. But because I know the keywords, I know the triggers, I know what people gets them excited. You know what I mean? But when it comes to doing it like trading, I know nothing about trading. But yet you'll hear my voice introducing every one of those top experts. And we were able to build the website, Real Traders Webinar. It's a webinar with only real traders. You go to that one spot and you get content from all the top experts on every single topic related to trading. So now I had free content that I was able to use as bait, but it was content from the #1 expert on Forex. I had content from the #1 expert on candlesticks, the content from the #1 expert on options trading. And then I could use that to go out there as bait to generate free traffic through SEO and so on, from Google, from YouTube, which till today we rank not only in Google, but YouTube, which is the #2 search engine in the world. Gets more searches than Yahoo and Bing combined, and times 10. So understand the power of this. Understand the power of free content, and understand the power of being able to interview other people, or not even interview them, just discussing their content. Just discussing their content. You follow me? So listen, guys, that's it for this video. I hope you got a ton of value. My name is Kevin De Silva. Again, my website is Viralizers.com. If you want to check out our podcast, again, it's called the Viralizer Insiders Podcast, VIP. I'm going to be coming out with a new series. It's going to be episodes 101, which kind of, 101. But that's going to be the first episode, since the original ones were 001, 002. But listen to the first 3 episodes first. That's on Viralizers.com right now. The original series. Listen to those first 3 episodes where we talk about creating your manifesto. And I detail all the stuff on how to launch your podcast, how to, think of your brand, how to come up with a good name, all that stuff. Everything that you need to know to launch a successful company built around your tribe. But most importantly, we focus on building the tribe, because what everybody gets wrong is that they just got to create the content and put it out there and boom, they're going to be successful. No, you need the tribe, right? You build the tribe, then you make the podcast to give to your tribe. And then your tribe shares it with all their friends, and that's how you go. You follow me? Podcasting is just an easy form of content that you create to create value to share with your tribe. Even if it's 3 or 4 people, just go follow some fans, some Viralizer fans of your competitors, make friends with them, and then share your podcast with them, and watch how fast they will share it with their friends, and then it'll just go from there. All right? Again, if you want to check out our website, it's viralizers.com. Feel free to follow me, message me at the following sites. On Twitter, my username is @Kevin De Silva. You can go to my Facebook fan page, which is facebook.com/Kevin De Silva fans. Facebook.com/Kevin De Silva fans. Or on YouTube, it's youtube.com/user or / something like that. But just do a search for Kevin De Silva videos with no spaces, and you'll find my videos. All right, that's it for this episode. I hope you have an awesome 2019 if you're watching this before the new year. If we're already in 2019, here's to crushing it in 2019, and I hope this helps. And I look forward to your comments and to seeing what you think about it and what you would like to see more of next time. Talk to you then. Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Kevin, and I just want to share a bonus tip with you. So this is not like a blooper reel per se, but I want to show you something. So when I was just recording this video for you, I made one mistake, right? So I made one mistake as I was talking. As I said, I don't use notes or anything. I just go with the flow. And I made a mistake, which I'm going to let you listen to right now. One of the most important things is making sure that did you see that? So what I did was right here. So right there. So I'm staying right here. So one of the most important things, and then I screw up. But instead of just screwing up and then waiting a couple seconds and then starting again, look at this track right here. Look at this track. So this is like 1 hour and 13 minutes, right? So if you look at this, how would I have possibly spotted that screw up? But what you'll notice is, look at this. Look at the timeline and look at all the way across. What's the one thing that stands out? That little peak right there, right? So all I did was, if I zoom in, right? If I zoom in, you'll see that right there. Boom, boom, boom. All I did was, when I screwed up, is I just clap 3 times. I pause, and then I go. And what that's going to do is that's going to put on your audio track 3 spikes. Boom, boom, boom. And you want to do it really close to the mic so that it does what it did right there, which was it leaves like a, you see the red peak. It peaks into the, to the distortion area. And now you're able to spot it instantly. And now what I can do is I can go in, cut it up, right? I just go in, and you could see that I'm saying right about here. So one of the most important things, so all I got to do now is chop it there. And you can see right after the 3 claps right here, I start off by saying one of the most important things. And then I just go like this, right? And then I'll just chop that out. I'll delete it. I'll grab this, drag it over, and boom. If I play it now, entry is your podcast. One of the most important things, you see how it just goes smoothly? Now, obviously, you have to be using a software to do this, like an Audacity, or, I use Adobe Audition personally. But what I'm using right now is ScreenFlow, right? ScreenFlow is the best for videos when it comes to making videos on your Mac. If you use a PC, then what you want to use is a software called Camtasia, okay? I believe they're both made by TechSmith, if I'm not mistaken. So you got Camtasia, you got ScreenFlow, and then, I'm sorry, no, it's not made by TechSmith. ScreenFlow is made by TechSmith. But Camtasia is another one for PC. Or you could use something such as Cloud. There's an app I have called Cloud, and you could just record little videos and stuff. There's all sorts of Chrome extensions, but these are the ones I choose to use. But I just wanted to share that killer tip with you that allows you to find any screw-ups that you made. But personally, I try not to screw, if I screw, like I screwed up right there and, I chopped it out. But that's the only time I did it. You don't want to go too crazy because you'll be clapping, too many times. Just try to get used to it. And one of the best ways is to do Facebook Lives. So you can record your podcast live. You could do a live stream on Facebook in a Facebook group, right? Maybe you build a Facebook group. This is something we'll be talking about in Viralizers. But that's another cool way that you can do things where you get people, you do it live. And by doing it live, you're not going to be able to screw up. Well, if you screw up, you screw up. You just keep going, right? But you'll get used to speaking without stopping. And then you take the recording. That's your podcast. That's your podcast, right? And then one final tip for you is if you want to get people to join your email list so that you don't have to rely on an iTunes or Facebook, especially nowadays, these Silicon Valley websites are getting very, let's just say they're interfering, right? They're starting to choose which content gets seen, which content doesn't. So you want to get people into your world. And what you could do is, like, I created this podcast right here. One of the things I could do is I could take all the tips that I shared with you, as I'm going to do, and I can, take all these tips, and I'm going to create a 1-page cheat sheet. So that 1-page cheat sheet will have all of these tips on that 1 page. And, what I'll do is I'm going to create a URL, which is viralizers.com/start your own podcast, right? Or, I'll do something much simpler, such as, all right, so I'll do viralizers.com/podcast-cheat sheet. Viralizers.com/podcast- little dash, and then cheat sheet. So now if you go to viralizers.com/podcast-cheat sheet, you'll be able to put in your email address, subscribe to our podcast, and get the 1-page cheat sheet. So now that's how people will be able to come into my world, join my email list, and now I could stay in constant contact with them. And then one of the things that I could do is on the thank you page, right? I could say, hey, thank you. And if you want to, join our community, go over to this URL, which will link them to our Facebook group, which will most likely be viralize.com/FB group, right? An FB group will redirect them right to the Viralizers Facebook group, which is completely free. And now you have everybody in your Facebook group. But again, you still want to have their email address just in case, especially if you're in a, you're talking about politics. If you're not talking about politics, you should be okay. But still, I don't like, leaving anything up to chance. You never know what could happen. Facebook changes their algorithm all the time. Just like fan pages. We used to build up fan pages and then boom, one day to the next, there goes all of your organic views, right? Because they decided no more showing content. They're only going to show posts from their family and friends, which, not for nothing, but it goes back to the argument I was making about freebie seekers, because those freebie seekers, just to drive that home, and I'll end it with this, because it's so important, and I truly believe it's the key to your success, and it's the opposite of what everybody's telling you to do, which is focus on the freebie seekers. Because what are they looking for? A freebie. So if you provide them with a freebie, they're going to love you, right? And you're giving them what they want. But guess what? They become fans. Just because they don't have money, who cares? Some of them do, and some of them can support you. You could do the support where anybody can give whatever they want. You don't have to, there doesn't need to be a set amount. But at the same time, let's say you come out with a book that you put on Amazon, and for the first week you make it free, but you ask people to leave a review. Guess what happens? If you can get 1,000 reviews all saying 5 stars from those quote unquote freebie seekers, guess what happens? Now your book is going to be ranked number 1. Now it's going to be considered a bestseller. You just became a best-selling author in your niche. Your book is rated 5 stars by 1,000 people, which is going to be better than 99% of the other authors out there. And now you're going to be visible to all the other quote-unquote buyers, right? So like all this bullshit about non-buyers, you only want the buyers. It's BS, because those non-buyers are what's going to get you seen by the buyers. And then most importantly, look at Facebook. They changed it so that you only see posts now from family and friends, which means what? Which means unless somebody's sharing something with their family and friends, Facebook won't show it. Unless it's Facebook groups. That's one of the tricks. So that's why we're going to be using it. But if you can get people's family and friends to share your content with them, that's how you get into the newsfeed. You follow me? So people, that is going to be the way going forward. It's people. And that's why I believe in Viralizers. I believe that every one of us should be our own Fox News. You might not like Fox News. Maybe it's MSNBC, whatever you want to use, but you should be your own media company, right? And the cool thing about a media company is you don't have to be the expert. So no more wasting time trying to be the expert. At Viralizers, we have a tool. I'm not going to try to sell you because I don't have to. You know how I think of things. I like to provide value. But one of the things we do have is a WordPress plugin that every time you share something, you create your link that's from your website. So it'll be like viralizers.com/how to get 6-pack abs. And you can redirect those people to an article on CNN, for example. But everybody that clicks gets put into a custom audience on Facebook, Google, LinkedIn, Twitter that you could run ads to. But you know what they're interested in, because only people that clicked on the link to go see that CNN article got put into these custom audiences. So you know exactly what they're interested in. And I show you how to use Google Optimize, which is free, so that based on which link they clicked on, you can have, it's just so much advanced stuff I won't get into here, but I believe sharing other people's content, figuring out what they want, giving them exactly what they want, and then letting them become the people that share it. And I believe that each of us are already doing that. Everybody's already sharing all this content with their family and friends, right? So why not get paid to do it? Why not become an influencer, right? Everybody always talks about influencer marketing. Well, that's what Viralizers is. And I've been talking about this since 2011. But I don't just want to be, and I don't want you to be an influencer marketer. I want you to influence all the influencers out there. You follow me? Become the influencer that influences all of the other influencers, aka what we call Viralizer fans. So you can get 1,000 Viralizer fans, or aka influencers, and if you can put it out to these micro influencers, not the big gurus, I'm not talking about that, I'm talking about the micro influencers, the people that have 50, 100 friends, family. Those are the people you have to get to. And that's going to be the business model going forward over the next 5-10 years, I believe. I've done this now about 3 times where I've picked a trend and I've called it correct. And I definitely don't think I'm wrong here. I believe that that's going to be the way going forward. And that's how I believe, even if an economy crashes, which when it comes down to it, that's what I care about. I care about showing people how to make money from home, talking about what they love, but get paid for it. So that when automation comes and AI and the robots take over doing all the jobs, well, you can be okay. And you can support your family by talking about the stuff you love on social media, which we're doing anyways. But you're told not to do it because you should be, reading 15,000 books to become an expert. Fuck that. Fuck all that, right? Just do what you love. Talk about the New England Patriots all day. But you become an influencer that can influence all the influencers when it comes to Patriot stuff or football or sports. And now people start paying you to get access to your distribution. Believe me, that's down the road, but just believe me, just let that seed be planted in your mind and let it grow, because I promise you that's where we're headed, and that's how you could turn any passion into profits. That's it for this video. Just wanted to share that tip with you and a few more ninja tips with you. Talk to you soon.